Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics, They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on BitChute, Comic Freak. Today we're going to be talking about how a bunch of game journalists have decided to release a bunch of articles condemning the fact that video games don't have enough politics put into them, or aren't used to change the minds of people who play video games so that they correspond with the writers of these articles' own ideologies. Oh gee, I guess a bunch of people who are playing escapist games don't want to be bombarded with a bunch of propaganda, especially from a bunch of brain-dead leftists game journalists who sometimes can't even play video games. If you look back to the game journalist who reviewed Cuphead. Now we'll start off with a article from Melody Hetfield on Eurogamer, and her article, Why We Talk So Much About Politics in Games. Her article is just a bunch of nonsense. I mean, she words it out in a way, but it just comes off as more jibber-jabber and blah, blah, blah. Politics in video games can be a contentious thing. That's no surprise, seeing as politics are contentious by nature. Many of us would rather much avoid them, and it's a sentiment that comes up when players feel their escape into fantasy realms suddenly reminds them of a real-world issue. However, it is impossible to completely eradicate politics, even though we would like to eradicate politics from our games. Introducing an element that has a real-world thing isn't that bad, but if you're going to go on and say that we should be dwelling on how this affects people and how it should affect us and how it should make us think in this particular method, no, we just want to play a game. We just want to turn our brains off and blow a few bad guys away. This might have elements from the real world in it, but it's an escapist game, and we don't want to have to deal with your politics. This entire article by Hatford just has her going on about and being written in such a way that it seems like she's just trying to promote her. Well, she is trying to promote her ideology, but it just comes off as two-faced, especially when you come into contact with someone who genuinely believes that games should just be, escapist fantasy and just fun, and that they don't need these politics to be interwoven into in such a way that it almost seems like brainwashing. Melody Hatford even brings up the fact of minorities, and their stories are mostly centered on racism. You know what? That's not true. A lot of minorities in games have their own stories that have nothing to do with real-world racism or anything like that. They're characters who live their life, and we watch them and we enjoy playing as them. A Kotaku writer, a VP at Ubisoft, who basically told the guy that he basically says that, yes, we could include politics, and that he would particularly like to include politics that would be able to allow his sons to be more informed about who they could vote for in the future. And that's to me sounds like brainwashing, and I dislike it. Now, what gave him this idea was, in fact, when he first voted, he was only using his friends and his family and their opinions to inform him on who he should vote for. The ideology that he was raised with. Now, he himself thinks that you should get your own ideas, but it sounds to me like he would love to control his own son's voting habits. He goes on to say, Francis's framework might allow Ubisoft to speak more frankly about some of the more politically charged ideas that have already been included in their games. For example, the lack of black people in Silicon Valley tech companies that was explored in 2016's Watch Dogs 2. But he sidesteps the conversation about political ideas of an overall work of art just because he wants to make money with his game. He might include something like the fact there are a lack of black people at Silicon Valley because he wants to include some realism in it and how it relates to real life. But he doesn't want to go into some political triad about social justice or about how his game needs to do to change people's minds and how they think. No, he wants his game to resonate with people and so they can have a fun time playing it. Now, he also says that if you want to have a conversation, well, use the microphone on your computer while playing the game and talk to someone who you're playing with and tell them about your ideas. Now, the Kotaku writer Stephen Totello brought up the protests that apparently happened from Ghost Recon when it was released. Because Ghost Recon was set in a South American country, Stephen Totello even went so far as to say, others, I continued, can't get past the fact that we're playing as Americans, rampaging through a South American country, fighting drug lords. We're not seeing the perspective of the civilians. We're just shooting our way through their towns. These elements have compelled some people to call the game racist and imperialist. The VP, in response, says, there is no yes and there is no no. Because we're just designing a game for people to have fun with. It doesn't matter if this is being protested in this country, and I have my doubts about that. This might be protested by guys like you who are writing this, Totello. The Ubisoft VP said that Ubisoft Games is also trying to develop games where you could do more than just shoot. You could also have a lot of problem solving. But he also said, no, they're not going to do something like remove guns from their games because it's stupid, because some people will just want to play the game just to go around shooting things and just have a fun time and forget. Others will want to do the gameplay to have problem solving and to figure out all the different ways how to play it. But don't think that we should give up games when you can just have a fun time blowing the bad guy away. No. As the VP said, it's all about agency and how you want to play the game. And we're not going to take that away from the player, just so it would make you happy, Totello. Meaning, Ubisoft's official stance is that they are with the player and that they refuse to bow down to anyone telling them how to make their games and just to put politics in there and just make it not fun. Ubisoft wants to have your game so you can go there and have a fun time, just forget about what's going on in the world and just play the game any which way. Either figuring out the problem solving, going through air ducts and avoiding enemies, or just go around blowing away the bad guy with two guns and just chewing bubblegum as you go. The Ubisoft VP said that what they're trying to do in their games, we're trying to take the company in the way of open world, systematic, multiple points of views, emergent gameplay, emergent narrative, full autonomy. He said, as he read off a bunch of game design goals, this is what we're trying to achieve collectively, and it's hard. As I said earlier, he said if you want to have a conversation about politics, open up a link and talk to your friends about it. But he also went on to say, I don't want to author anyone or anything. I don't like being authored myself. I just don't like being authored in life. He said it in a different way, but he used the word authored, meaning he doesn't like to be written like you're writing this article, Totello. This VP has his good points and he has his bad. He completely turned it around on Stephen Totello. He first came off saying that he would like to control how his kids would vote in the future because he's a parent, but I still hate the idea of it. But he went on to say that he intends to make his games the way his paying customers want them to be made. And you, Stephen Totello, and other game journalists like you have no say in the matter. He basically told you to go sit and spin, and I have to really applaud this VP of Ubisoft for being so brave, and most likely will be torn apart in future articles by these leftist game journalists. But I still take my hat off to you. Now, if you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to me. Subscribe on my YouTube channel, Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Then go over to BitChute and subscribe to Comic Freak. Also, hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. Also, could you please share this video on social media? Share it on Twitter, and share it on Facebook, and share it anywhere else you think it would do any good. Because YouTube refuses to promote any creator videos anymore. It would really help me if you could please do that. Also, Keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book, Scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.